All right, what's going on, guys? Dan Watson, and check out this spread right here. Some really crazy, amazing video cameras, and we're going to be talking about my favorite video cameras all the way from $500 up past $5,000. And most of them I have here, but there are a couple that I don't have just yet, or I've sold. Can't quite own every video camera yet. I don't think the wife is going to be cool with that. But I don't care if you're just looking to see what cameras are out there. If you're looking at purchasing a camera, maybe you want to see the cameras that I use all the time. The only asterisk I will give you is that most of these cameras are pretty new. I would say the oldest one that I'm gonna talk about is about 2017-ish, which is not all that old. I mean, a lot of people use some really old cameras. This is my first real video camera. I would say the Canon GL1, had this and the XL1. So we can go way back. I think this is over 15 years old, which will show you just how long I've been doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, most of these cameras are gonna be newer, but that means they're gonna be easier to integrate, really easy workflows on this, and stuff that is awesome for this digital internet age. So really cool stuff to upload to YouTube and that kind of stuff. So that will be the focus here. If I do not mention a camera that you wanna see, hit me up in the comments, let me know why you love it. That way we can all see some really cool suggestions from you guys. So if you are in this $500 price range, you have a couple different options. There really aren't gonna be any good new cameras in this price range. So you could look at getting a camera, older model that's maybe 5 years old that people are selling or used or something like that. Or most phones out there actually shoot some really incredible video, 4K 60. They do have small sensors, but they do have things like auto HDR and can look amazing if you combine that with a manual camera app, or if you're shooting iPhone, definitely get Filmic Pro because it's a really cool app. And if you don't do that, you can get some older cameras. I know I picked up like this Panasonic G5 for less than $500, brand new a couple years ago. And this is a really cool camera that can shoot 4K 30 and gives you a whole lot of features. So that's an option for you guys. Or I like this Insta360 1R, and this is basically an action camera like a GoPro. However, it has interchangeable camera modules. So this is a 360 module on here now. However, you can get the GoPro type camera module, or you can get it with this, a 1-inch sensor with a really good quality Leica lens on this. And this will really up the quality above what you would get with typical action cameras. They have these unscrewable filters. You can put ND filters on here, just a lot of options on it. The upside is that you can mount this to anything GoPro compatible. It's also completely waterproof. So you got a bunch of options on there, but it can also shoot 5K up to 30 frames per second or 4K at 60 frames per second with a 1-inch sensor right in that $500 mark price range. So that is a really cool option there. The only downside is it has a fixed lens. So it's a 15mm approximately lens. So it's gonna be a very wide angle. So it won't work for anything. So you can use your phone for some stuff, upgrade your phone, get a gimbal for it, microphone for your phone, or you can get one of these things. You can actually add on a mic to this as well. So those are kind of some flexible options that give you some really good quality if you don't care that much about interchangeable lenses. And if you do want to get a little bit serious and you do have some lenses, look at picking up some older cameras. A lot of them shoot 4K 30. They might not have the best autofocus, but you can work around that in several different areas. Now, when we get into this under $1,000 price point, there are really some cool options in this one. Two really good cameras. And I think this is kind of the sweet spot for getting something that you can use for real stuff that looks amazing and it's more versatile than some of the other options below $500. One is going to be this. This is the ZV-1 from Sony. It is a crazy pocket camera, 1-inch sensor on here, so a little smaller sensor, kind of like this module right here, but it does give you a 24-70 equivalent zoom with an f1.8 to 2.8 aperture, so a very wide aperture, which kind of helps make up for the fact that this is a small sensor. You can still get some decent bokeh on this one, and then you can also get decent low light performance just because it is a wider aperture zoom lens. And this does shoot 4K up to 30, 1080p up to 120 frames per second on here. Has a flip out screen, tons of pro end features, log recording, all kinds of stuff on here, mic inputs on it. So you do have quite a few options on something like this. This is a really cool camera. However, if you do want more of the interchangeable lens camera, Sony's new E10, which I don't have on me right now, this is a brand new camera that just came out, gives you an APS-C sensor, so a much larger sensor on this. The only thing to keep in mind is that the kit lens is going to be about 2 stops slower than the kit lens, or basically the included lens on this, which does mean that those cameras compared side by side, this and that one with the kit lens, the quality is going to be pretty similar, despite that having a much larger sensor. The benefit to that E10 is that you can take off that kit lens and upgrade it anytime you want, put on a really cool prime lens, and you can get some absolutely amazing features on that. Tons of things like log recording on it, amazing autofocus as well. So for under $1,000, that camera is absolutely insane. I highly recommend it. Now, if you do have $1,500, there is a really awesome camera in this price range, probably one of the most influential cameras of the last decade, and that is the Panasonic GH5. This is technically the GH5 too, but they're very similar cameras. You can get 4K 60, 10-bit. There's so many features on this. One of the best IBIS systems, professional features on this that you could actually make real movies from. I know people that put some really nice lenses on these cameras and have made unbelievable productions. With a camera that's 4 years old, you can absolutely do it today. It is still one of the best cameras on the market. The only downside is that maybe autofocus isn't all that good, but low light also, it's a smaller sensor, micro four thirds, so you have to combine that with some wider aperture lenses, or don't really push the ISO too much past 800, and then you'll be set. I know so many people have been using this camera for amazing stuff. I bought it when it first came out, had it for 3 years, and now I have the GH5 too. It is an insane camera, well worth the money. If you have $1,500, definitely jump on the GH5. Now, right around this $2,000 mark is where things start opening up for full frame cameras and a lot of good hybrid options for photo and video shooters here. Some of my favorite cameras for sure. Now, if you guys are looking for something like this and you do not have an awesome website yet, maybe you need some calendar features, galleries, things like storefronts on here, I've got a coupon code for you and a free trial, so go check out squarespace.com. So obviously Squarespace makes it crazy easy to build a new site with templates, customizable blocks for adding in new content, and even the ability to search through thousands of images to help you get started. And there are just some insane tools for photographers and videographers, from custom galleries that allow you to password protect them for sharing privately with clients, and the ability to add in e-commerce to be able to sell your products online as well. I was able to upload my camera guide so I could sell them straight through my site in just a matter of minutes. There's also a full scheduling system, so you can actually have your clients sign up directly for their sessions online. So go ahead and check them out, guys. It's completely free to get started. Just use my coupon code LearningCameras when you build something awesome, and you can go live with that site today. So right under $2,000 is a camera I absolutely love, and I don't have it because I have the big brother for it, the Panasonic S1H. But the little brother to this camera is the Panasonic S5, and it is absolutely amazing what you can get with it. It's great hardware on it, but it also has 4K 60, 10-bit recording, a 1080p, I believe up to 120 frames per second, so many video features and things that you would find in pro end video cameras. Again, it's basically like a GH5, but with a full frame sensor. I absolutely love that camera right there. It is such a steal for that price. The only weakness is that the AF tracking isn't amazing. So if you're doing a lot of tracking, that's where things are a little bit more iffy on it. The Nikon Z6 II is another option that does have 4K 60. It's not as powerful of a camera. I don't like it quite as much, but it does shoot video and has a little bit better autofocus, and is probably the other one that you could do if you're more of a hybrid shooter and do need the autofocus. The other negative is it uses a new lens mount, which is mostly Leica style lenses, but Panasonic makes a bunch now, Sigma makes a bunch now, so there are some decent options. So if you're a Panasonic shooter or haven't shot Panasonic yet, you should absolutely look at the Panasonic S5. Now, right under $3,000, things get really interesting because you can go so many different ways. There are some older video cameras in this kind of price range that are really crazy awesome, but if you want to go with something newer, I still think the Panasonic S5 or S1 would be a great camera in this price range. However, the Canon R6 does give you autofocus, is a better kind of hybrid camera if you want to shoot photo and video, log recording, 4K 60 in full frame, 10-bit video on here. There's a whole lot of options. So even though this is a crazy small camera and it looks a little bit more amateurish, it is incredibly powerful and so good. I mean, I'm talking 4K oversampled from a 5.5K sensor, basically a 20 megapixel sensor. So really awesome stats on this one. The other way that you could go is the Blackmagic 6K, and this is an EF mount camera. It's completely different, so you don't get things like autofocus or IBIS or anything like that, but they do give you this monster 5-inch screen. Crazy ergonomics, but it does have built-in ND filters, video features. This can shoot 6K, and it can also shoot RAW on it. So really cool options on here. Also XLR inputs, insane quality. I mean, this is insane what you can get. So shooting ProRes onto this, onto SSD drives, which you can buy a terabyte SSD drive for a couple $100 and shoot insane quality ProRes RAW on this camera right here. They also have a bunch of different formats, and this 5-inch screen makes it so easy to work with on here. Completely different camera, not my run and gun style shooter, but if you're making short films or shooting static interviews and things like that, this is a crazy awesome camera. It uses Canon lenses, which you can get some great glass for, or even cinema lenses for it. So if you want to go more that style, this is going to be an awesome camera for it. Now, right under $4,000, this is actually where I live. The cameras that I use the most are in this category, and that is going to be the Sony a7S III, or you could go with the FX3, which is basically an a7S III and more of a video style body with controls on it. You also get some additions on it, like an XLR adapter handle is included with it. It does have a fan on it for a little bit longer recording without overheating. Some little features like that, like tally lights, but you do lose the viewfinder on it, which I use a lot. But the Sony a7S III is really the camera that I use the most. 4K up to 120, stunning in low light. This has so many features on it, 10-bit recording. I absolutely love this camera, and I use it for almost anything. If you are more of a hybrid shooter, the Canon R5 is also very good and gives you a lot of the same options, but it does have some weird limitations on it. Like if you want to shoot 10-bit, you have to do it shooting log, and it has some kind of worse formats that it records in, so much higher bit rates on that. However, some crazy file sizes and not easy to play back. This is a better pure video camera. I would say it just has less limitations and seems to work better for a majority of things. I do have some small gripes, like I wish the screen was a little larger and better, but otherwise, this camera gives you unlimited recording in 4K, 10-bit, 120 frames per second. It is so good, amazing. It is a huge step up from anything on the market. I highly recommend them, and I shoot with them just about every day. Now, once you get into the $5,000 mark, this is where more purebred cinema cameras live. And there's, again, a lot of options for older cameras on here, but my favorite right now is the Canon C70, which I haven't gotten now, but if you ask me which camera I would buy tomorrow if I had $5,000, it would be the Canon C70. I absolutely love this camera. Technically, I think it's about $5,500, but hey, if you have $5,000, save up the $500 and get it. It gives you a lot of other features. So you do get 4K up to 120 frames per second, but you are also going to get things like XLRs, some built-in ND filters. So it gives you a little bit more than you can get with like the Canon R5 or Sony a7S III. And it does it all with a dual gain sensor with 16 stops of dynamic range. They basically pulled this sensor from a C300. I mean, this camera would be perfect for anything, whether you're shooting YouTube videos or Netflix documentaries. You could really use it for anything. Again, I don't have this camera right now, but if I had to pull the trigger today, this is the one I would get. And I would say if you had $5,000 or $5,500, absolutely, if you were shooting video, this is more of a video-centric camera, so you can't really use it for hybrid stuff, but absolutely pull the trigger on this camera. The C70 is stunning. So there you have it, my favorite cameras from $500 all the way up to $5,000. If there was a camera I didn't mention, definitely hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear why you love it, why you use it, and why you think it should have made this list on here. Also, if you're thinking about picking any one of these up, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm happy to help you guys out with some gear lists or things that you guys want for it. I've got some links down below as well for a lot of these cameras and my favorite lenses for them. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Some really, really cool stuff coming in and some new cameras on the way. Stay tuned. Hope you guys are doing amazing. I'll see you soon in a new video.